Hey everyone, welcome to my channel for the love of sports. Today we'll be going over the ATP tennis predictions for the Monte-Carlo tournament. We're on a 6-2 run, so let's keep it going. All right, so we have Alexei Popyrin versus Ugo Humbert as our first matchup. It's a 1-1 head-to-head matchup. Popyrin does have the only win head-to-head in clay. This I feel like this surface isn't the best for Hugo Humbert. I see that he is favored, but I could see Popyrin winning this game. The problem is Popyrin has not been informed this season. He hasn't looked great. This is not one that I'll touch, but I could see a world where Alexei Popyrin takes this down. Next game we have is Lorenzo Sonego versus Pedro Martinez. See, Lorenzo Sonego is pretty heavily favored. I see why he's heavily favored. I feel like he has been better this season, but this is the surface that Pedro Martinez does pretty good on. He just hasn't been in great form. I could see this going either way. I would have to lean Sonego for now, just because Pedro Martinez has been pretty bad, especially in the last tournament. I thought he would pick it up, and he got decimated in his last matchup. So I would lean Sonego. Then we have Nicholas Jarry versus Grigor Dimitrov. 2-1 head-to-head in favor of Jarry. And he does have 2 wins in clay versus Dimitrov. So Jarry definitely has the advantage when it comes to the clay surface. The problem is that his form this season has been awful. Now Dimitrov has dealt with his own injuries at the beginning of the season. He didn't play in the Australian Open, so there definitely has been injury concerns, but he's been playing the last couple of tournaments. Grigor Dimitrov is favored. I think it's minus 325. Just way too high for me, especially looking at the head-to-head. I know that the head-to-head could be misleading, but this is just not a game that I'm going to touch. Next, we have Holger Rune versus Bruno Borges. Holger Rune leads 2-0 head-to-head. Holger Rune should take this down. I don't see any reason why he shouldn't. He's been playing better recently. He did go through a rough stretch. He was losing some games that he should have won. But he's been playing, very well recently, and he's pretty good on the surface as well. Next, we have Tomas Echeverry versus Corentin Moutet. Echeverry leaves 1-0 in the head-to-head. I think Echeverry is just a better player. He's very powerful. He can also be crafty. I think the surface is good for both of them, honestly. But I think Echeverry is the better player, and he leads head-to-head. So I would lean in Echeverry and Tomas Echeverry. Next, we have Dusan Lajovic versus Flavio Cobolli. Lajovic leads 1-0 in the head-to-head. Lajovic has surprised me. I know he beat Dejeri, and yeah, he had another a tight match that he won, but Flavio Cobolli looked really good in this last tournament. He took down Sebastian Baez, which I can't tell you I was expecting. I was heeding a little warning in that matchup just because Cobolli was looking so good. This could be one of those things where you just win the last tournament and the first game you get eliminated. It could happen. I think that's why the odds are so close. I think it's minus 110 either way, so it's really a toss-up. I don't even know what side I would pick here. I think Cobolli's the better player, but knowing that he won the last tournament, he might be a little fatigued. This is just not something I'm going to bet. Next, we have Bautista Agut versus Brandon Nakashima. Brandon Nakashima has looked good this year. He's pretty much won all the games I think he should win, and he's lost the games that he pretty much should lose. So I mean, he's been pretty consistent. Bautista Agut does lead 1-0 in the head-to-head, but Bautista Agut this year has not been good. His form has not been great. I trust Brandon Nakashima a lot more than I trust Bautista Agut. Also, Nakashima in the last tournament in the clay looked pretty good. He in Houston he looked pretty good. So I would have to lean Nakashima on this one. Next, we have Alexander Zverev versus Matteo Berrettini. 4-2 head to head and 2-1 on the clay for Zverev. So Zverev does lead this both in both facets, head to head and clay head to head. Now Zverev, he hasn't been as dominant as I thought he would be. He was really good in the Australian Open, and I was like, wow, this could be his year. And he really hasn't been able to do much on the clay this year. Um, that one thing that was very surprising because I feel like the clay really suits his game, but he's had a hard time this year. Matteo Berrettini has been pretty good this year, and really on any surface, he's pretty, he's pretty good. He's a hard hitter, and he does not mind going, into long rallies. Neither does Zverev, so I could see a lot of rallies being in this matchup. Um, I would lean Zverev just because he is one of the top players when he's playing. Um, let's see what form he's in. I feel like we need to see how he does in this tournament. We're getting close to the next big tournament here, so I feel like Zverev really needs to get this going. I said the same thing about Medvedev yesterday, and look what he did. He took it down. He took the win down versus Kachanov. So I feel like this is a spot where Zverev really needs to get this win. Next matchups, we have Tyler Griekspoor versus Arthur Fils. Arthur Fils has looked really good recently. I really like Arthur Fils' game. He is not scared to hit winners. He is not scared to be aggressive. Tyler Griekspoor is not that kind of player. Tyler Griekspoor is, a big heavy serve guy. And he's not going to make too many mistakes. But Arthur Fils' game is strictly so aggressive. And I feel like on this surface, you need to be a little bit more aggressive. Just because, these rallies can get kind of crazy. The power that you have can be neutralized by some of these surfaces. And while Griekspoor did play good in the last clay tournament, Arthur Fils is another opponent. So I would take Arthur Fils here in this matchup. This next matchup might be the best matchup in my opinion. Thomas Mahach versus Sebastian Baez. It's also their first meeting, so we have nothing to go by. Sebastian Baez on the clay is a different monster. I mean, yes, he got beat by Flavio Cobolli, but Cobolli was, playing really, really, really good tennis. And, before that, Sebastian Baez was rolling, rolling in the clay. Thomas Mahach is a great player though, and he's been very good since the Australian Open. He's been very good. He won a tournament this year, so he's been very good as well. I know he had a little bit of injury concerns maybe about a month ago, but it seems to be okay. It seems to be all right. Um, I would probably just take the plus money with Sebastian Baez, just because I think it's a better price, and I think this is a toss-up, honestly. Um, Sebastian Baez, like I said on the clay, he's just a different beast. So I would lean Sebastian Baez just because it is a better price, but I don't think I'd bet this game. Next matchup, we have Jordan Thompson versus Stefanos Tsitsipas. Tsitsipas leaves 3-1 in the head-to-head, but they've never played in the clay. Tsitsipas should win this. I mean, he's minus 650, so it's kind of crazy if he, it'd be a big upset if he loses to Jordan Thompson. I will give Jordan Thompson credit, though. He looked very good serving in this last game, and he can be a tough competitor when he's at his best. He hasn't been the best of form this year, but seems to be trending in the right direction. I think Tsitsipas is just too much of a step up in terms of talent, so I will take Tsitsipas. Just wouldn't bet it because the price is just way too high. Last two matchups, we have Jack Draper versus Marcos Giron. Draper should take this one. Honestly, I don't think it'd be too much to ask for Draper to win this game. Draper has looked, like a top 10 player this year. He has a strong serve. He can be crafty. He really has a lot of skills. Marcos, his looks solid, but I do think that Draper is just a lot better in terms of talent. The last matchup we have Francis Tiafo versus Kekmo. Kekmo has been very good at times this year. Tiafo, just played in the Houston final. He did lose against Jensen Brooksby, but he did make that final. He looked very good in that tournament. He leads the head-to-head 4-1, and he is a dog. Um, the problem is that he just doesn't play very good in the European clay. It's just not his game. So I couldn't bet it. I wouldn't trust Kekmo at minus 220. It's way too high, especially, looking at the head-to-head. It's just way too high, paying minus 220. But to trust Francis Tiafo in this surface is just not something I want to do. Now we'll go over our best bets. We actually have two different best bets. Our first best bet has to do with Jack Draper money line versus Marcos Giron. It's about minus 320, I believe I paid. And then we're gonna put that along in a two-leg parlay. And we're gonna put with Holger Rune versus Nuno Borges. So both players lead 2-0 in their head-to-head matchups and are the better players in their matchups. I don't see why either of them should really lose. As long as they don't make too many mistakes, I see Holger Rune and Jack Draper going on to the next round of this tournament. So that's going to be my first best bet. The second best bet is going to be Echeverri, moneyline versus Corentin Moutet. Now, I think Echeverri is just a better player. I feel like minus 160 is like such a weird price, though. I wanted to get lower, so I did take something else. I took Zverev to get at least one set versus Matteo Berrettini. Zverev is minus 180. So I think the one set was like minus 4 something, minus 420. But it made my bet like a lot better in terms of odds, putting that along with the Echeverri money line. So just to recap, we have Holger Rune money line along with Jack Draper money line. And then our second best bet, we have Zverev to win a set versus Matteo Berrettini, and Echeverri moneyline versus Corentin Moutet. Thank you guys for watching the video. Like and subscribe. Comment what plays you're tailing, and let me know what plays you have in mind today. Have a good one, guys.